Flosstube, it's Paula. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in High Heels. If you're new here, checking me out, I hope you like what you see and you come back. Subscribe, like, all the things. If you're one of my regular viewers, welcome back. Thanks for being patient. Life has just been a little crazy here with summertime activities here in the northeastern United States. Means that my stitching time has not been as plentiful as it has been. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you chose to spend some time with me. Definitely leave me a comment, say hi, let me know what you're working on. I love hearing from everybody. It's a little overcast today, so I've got my ring light on. By the way, today is Sunday, June 23rd. We've been having a bit of a, I guess it does meet the official criteria for a heat wave here in upstate New York. We're under heat advisory again today until 8 o'clock tonight. We've been under heat advisories for the last, I think since Tuesday, which is unusual for us this time of year. Usually we get this kind of weather in July or August. So I do have to say the term hot mess has been kind of a literal translation here lately. My hair's all pulled back because otherwise, you know, be out here. Humidity and curly hair is not not a good combination. So, and I spent some time when I was getting my stuff together today trying to figure out what I showed you the last time, without going back and watching my last video, and I don't completely remember. So I'll show you what I worked on for Mira May, and what other things I've worked on here in June. I can't believe we're almost at the end of June already. Time is just flying by. So those of you who watch me know I've been doing Whip Go this year, which is, if you don't know, it's a bingo style challenge originated by Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff, where you lay out a bingo board with goals that you want to accomplish throughout the year. And I, of course, jumped right in for the first time with 3 full boards, one for stitching ornaments, one for fully finishing ornaments that I'd stitched in the past, and one for getting my works in progress, you know, getting them touched and moved forward. And as you know, the bingo board, the center space, which is number 13 in the way we do things here, could be a free space. I loaded projects in there. And of course, during May, when I wanted to concentrate on my Mirabilia projects, and I really was hoping for a couple of finishes. I did get a finish on Snapdragon. I know I showed you that the last time. I was also hoping to get a finish on Garden Verses, which I didn't accomplish. But in general, trying to get all that work in on my Mirabilias, and Memorial Day weekend was a long holiday weekend here in the U.S., which meant that we were camping, and I didn't get a lot done. I didn't stitch while we were camping. We were camping with friends and spent the time visiting, playing games, that kind of stuff. So all of that combined to say that I did not stitch any ornaments in May. I did not fully finish any ornaments in May. So I have made progress catching up on my stitched ornaments. But I've got 5 ornaments to get FFO'd, and, excuse me, my throat's getting a little scratchy here. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get them FFO'd in June, so we're going to have 7 to do, and I'm getting back into that area where I would get intimidated by the number that I had to have done. Excuse me. But, so we'll get to it, and I'm going to say that as long as I get the 26 ornaments, 25 I think it is, finished by the end of the year, I'm going to call that a successful Whip Go, as well as having an additional 25 stitched that I've been sitting on fabric for the last 20 years in some cases. Kind of scary to say. So, without further ado, let's jump in. I had to turn my air conditioner in this room off, so it's already getting a little stuffy, and I want to get through this before I get all hot and glowy and things look worse than they actually do. So, first I'm going to talk about some finishes, and I did finish 2 of my 3 ornaments for May. And first up this is just called Christmas Tree, and it's by Elizabeth Foster from Elizabeth's Designs. You can see that there. Just a sweet little Christmas tree. This was from the 2004 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue, stitched with all the required threads on the required fabric. And I love this. It's just a really sweet, cute little ornament. So that's my first finish. My second finish is Peace on Earth, and it's by Julia Lucas of Julia Lucas Designs. She had a series of these in the Just Cross Stitch ornaments, and I loved them, but I always thought they were a lot more stitching than what they are. This is stitched on the required linen, which was a permin linen, so it was a little bit stiff, but not too bad to work with. And I stitched it with all of the required materials. The only change I made was up here in the sky. It called for those stitches to be stitched in the blue in the sky and then overstitched with blending filament, and I despise blending filament, so I just used, it was going to be silver blending filament, and I just used silver number 4 braid. So that's the finished ornament. I'm very happy with that. I like it. Really didn't take as long to stitch as I had expected. So I'll probably pull out some of the other ones that she did in different ornament issues and give them a go. So those are my only 2 finishes. For starts and works in progress, the third ornament for May was Holly and Hardanger. This is going to be tough to show because it's right in the fold here. But this is from the 2005 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. And it's, let's see what you can see. It's, sorry about the glare there. It's this one right here. So I've got a fairly good start on it. I probably would have had it finished if I hadn't had to pull out a whole stitching session because I miscounted on the ribbon up here at the top. But there you can see it's stitched on a 32 count natural opalescent linen, and you can see I've got to finish up the back stitching just on those leaves there, and then I've got to do the cut work and the wrapped bars in the middle, the Hardanger piece, and put some beads on. So this really shouldn't take me all that long. I have to work at 911 tomorrow night, so I expect to get finished with the back stitching. If the phones are busy, I'm not going to try cutting while I'm there. I probably won't do the cutting or the beading while I'm there, but I should get everything else finished up. So that will be good progress for that. And then so in terms of projects that I worked on in May, and really the projects that I've worked on in June, other than those ornaments, I'm still working on Garden Verses by Mira May. There she is. And she is from 1994, so she's an early design. But I've loved her since she came out. So there she is. And I know I've told you before that I'm going to try to get her off the Q-snaps and show her to you. But I've got her in a really good spot for what I'm working on. So here's where she's at. I did make her a redhead instead of a brunette. So her hair is all done, and all I've got to do is her headdress in here and the flowers down around her ponytail there. So I don't know, I'm hoping to watch the NASCAR race later today. Maybe I'll get her finished this evening. I do have back stitching left to do, so I mean there's not much on her, but I do have some back stitching left to do. So hopefully by the end of the week she will be a finish. I'm real happy with how she's looking so far. Just having a debate with myself, if you, and I don't know if I can get this in close enough for you to see, but she's got a lot of metallic in her headband. Yeah, you can't really see it in this picture, but a lot of these a lot of these stitches here. Let me get it back and show you. So here, you know, all these stitches, one of these days I'll get used to how I'm pointing. All these stitches here are metallic. These down here are metallic. These down here are metallic. Where am I pointing? Over here. So those are all metallics. And then she's got a ring on this hand. You can't, I don't think you can see the empty stitches there, but she's got a ring on this hand. And she does have a ring down here on her other hand. And they're all metallic. So I'm really tempted to get those stitched, even though I generally like to stitch floss before I stitch metallics. But I'm using the DMC Diamante, I'm not sure, I'm never sure how to say that. Because this is an old enough chart that it called for the old DMC, if you've been stitching for a while, the old stuff on the spool, which is just horrible. So this Diamant is easier to work with, but I still, there's a gold wrapped with black, and that's very easy to work with, but the gold that I'm using just frays very easily. It does help to tie a knot, you know, to knot it in the eye of my needle, but it's just, it's not as much fun as it could be, right? So, but here she is again, so hopefully we'll have a finish on her soon. The other change I'm doing besides making her a redhead, there's a single stitch border, and I think you can see it around the edges there. I am not doing that. I'm not enjoying stitching with a metallic thread enough to get that, to do that. So there she is. Hopefully we'll have a finish on her soon. I had intended, anybody who's been around, I had intended to have her finished for the Queen City Stitchers Retreat last October, and that just didn't happen. She's a big girl. And speaking of the Queen City Stitchers Retreat, when we were there, we saw there were a few two stitchers in particular, I think, who have done a lot of Mirabilias over one. And they are just the most amazing, beautiful, tiny little treasures. And I've always said I wasn't going to stitch anything over one. I didn't like stitching over one, yada, yada, yada. Well, then they started a new Facebook group specifically for people stitching mini Miras. And I said, you know, maybe one of the pixies wouldn't be so bad. They don't have a lot of beads. Because the challenge truly is finding beads small enough to fit on either 20 or, like I'm doing 25 count, 1 over 1. Oh, by the way, Garden Verses, she's done on 32 count mushroom Lugana, which I believe is one of the called for fabrics. 2 DMC threads over 2, 1 strand of the metallic over 2. So I picked out Inkberry Holly Pixie. She's part of the Pixie Blossoms collection, and she's from 2017. And she's only got 1 color of beads, and they are mostly here in her hair and around the edges of her wings. So I said, well, you know, I could give it a try. I mean, you know, if I hate it, I hate it, right? And I've been really enjoying her. And I just pulled her out of the hoop because she's actually, even though she's 1 over 1, so she's 1 over 1 on 25 count Stormy Night Lugana, I think, from Zweigart. It's one of their standard fabrics, using the called for DMC. And there she is. So I pulled her out of the hoop because, believe it or not, she's actually been pretty good to work on during like conference calls when I'm working from home. So here's where she's at. The top portion is all done. All the back stitching on the top part is done. I'm working on her skirt. And so what I decided I'm going to do, I hadn't ordered beads for her, but I have a petite treasure braid that I believe will look very nice with this. It's called a black amethyst. So it's a very deep, dark purple that's almost black. And I just thought that would go really nicely with her berries and along the backs of her wings. So I'm going to try that. If I don't like how it looks, I can always order the beads. You need to look for size 15 seed beads. Fire Mountain Gems is a good source. But I was just looking at her and thinking, you know, like the smallest order you can get is still going to be way more beads than I need for this. And I don't know if these beads are called for in other ones, because I will admit, now that I've got her started, she probably will not be my last, at least Pixie over one. So I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure if they'll call for the same beads. So I really didn't want to order them if I didn't have to. And I had ordered that Petite Treasure braid for something different, and wasn't going to use it, so it's in my stash and I don't have to buy anything separate. And then the last Mirabilia I worked on, and I don't remember if I showed you this one or not, but this is Charlotte. And she was the stitch-along piece for anyone who wanted to for the Queen City Stitchers Retreat last year. And I started her at the retreat, and I'm a center starter, so I started right here around her knee. Ooh, let's see. And those pinks are incredibly pink. And, you know, when I looked at her, I always registered the, you know, the deeper colors in her dress, and I didn't realize those bright ones were there. So I think her dress must be like satin, so pretty shiny, and when the light hits it there, the pink really lightens up. And Denise from Black Ribbon Stitch Studio has been advocating for me to just keep going on her, because she said, trust the process, Nora knows what she's doing, and she is correct. So I worked on this, and I had a whole lot more done on her. I was really happy with the progress that I had. I'm still working, you know, in the part of the skirt around her knees and her legs. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 30 count, it's actually an even weave hemp fabric from Jackson Fiber Arts. It's a real pretty green. And I was stitching away on her, and all of a sudden I realized that there really wasn't much difference in the colors that the color of thread that I was using and the lighter color next to it that I had already stitched. I had stitched about 4 hours worth of work in the wrong color. So you can see a little bit up here where I pulled some, there's still some fuzz where I pulled some stitches out. I got to go back and clean that up. So I pulled out everything that I needed to pull out, and I did start restitching, but I didn't get back to where I was before I put her down. I'm feeling a little better with those darker colors in there, Denise, so I'm going to keep going. And she does, like all Mirabilias, I mean, they're big, but once you get those initial colors laid out in those dresses, the rest just flows so easily that they really don't take as long to stitch, for me, as you might think. So yeah, I'll be picking her up again as I get a chance. I'm going to the Queen City Stitchers Retreat again this year, and Autumn Lane Stitchery is their featured artist, so I do have some Autumn Lane stuff that I want to get done. So I'm not sure how much work Charlotte's going to get before the end of the year, but if I can finish Garden Verses and Inkberry Holly, then Charlotte will be my only Mirabilia whip. And there's sometimes I just want to work on a fancy lady. So she'll probably, maybe she'll see some more progress this year. That's all I've worked on for the past month and a half. That's, you know, I should have taken a picture of Charlotte before I had to pull, you know, frog what I did. It would look like more progress, but it is what it is, right? So we're moving forward with that. And let's talk about some plans. So my last two ornaments are another Sweetheart Tree ornament. Hold on, let me check my notes so I get all the right information here. Plan. I want to finish Garden Verses. Definitely want to get her finished. If I can finish Inkberry Holly in July, that would be awesome. Not holding my breath, but that would be very cool. My main focus though is going to be getting Charlotte Garden Verses finished. So getting that headdress done. I do have the two ornaments from June left to stitch. The first one of these is Merry Christmas Bell Pull. It's another Sweetheart Tree ornament. It's from 2004, and it's this one. There's a whole lot of glare, right? Let's see. Sorry for all the bobbing and weaving. There it is right there. That's not too bad. So there's that one. And the other one is by Stitches Knot, or Forget Me Not in Stitches. It's called Nativity Knot. And it's this one right up here. Right there. And I'll probably start that one first, because the two Sweetheart Tree pieces, they're stitched on the same fabric. They're stitched with pretty much the same colors. So give myself a little bit of a break in between. And then I also want to work on To All a Good Night by Autumn Lane Stitchery, because I'd like to have that for the brag table in October. So that's the piece. I got this as it fully kitted in the Black Needle Society Nice Box from 2022. So having the retreat was a perfect reason to start it. And here's where I'm at, just as a reminder. So I'm working up here in the sky, all these blues. I loaded it into Markup RXP, and that is helping immensely. So this is like an ombre effect here in the sky. I got the darkest color done, so I'm going to be starting the next one. This is another piece that's good to work at the 901 Center when the phones aren't busy. So I might be giving that some attention around ornaments. Otherwise, that'll also be a good one for conference calls when I'm working from home. And last but not least is Arabesque, and this is a horrible printed, I bought a PDF, and this is a horrible printed copy, but that's what the piece looks like. It's by Jan Hicks Creates. My printer was dying when I printed this. Like I said, it's by Jan Hicks Creates, and I started this with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and Laura from Stitching by the Shore, and we're all stitching it in different colorways, which is really cool. Laura is doing it, the original, you wouldn't know it from my my copy there, but if you haven't seen it, the original is done in red on a, I believe it's just a white colored fabric. Laura is using red. She's using a little different shade than what was called for, and a nice neutral fabric. Hers is gorgeous. She showed it in her most recent video. Her YouTube channel is Stitching by the Shore. Definitely check her out. If you're not watching her, you should. She stitches everything from samplers like this to full coverage. We had, I just love seeing what she's working on. We've done a couple pieces together. We started a Plum Street sampler piece together. We started Summer Quaker by Leela Studios, with Beth also, the first day of summer last year. Laura's made a lot more progress than I have on mine, but that's another one that I hope to see some progress this summer. It might be a good piece to take when we're camping, so we'll see about that. Anyway, back to Arabesque. Beth is using a blue silk by hand dyed fibers, Vicki Clayton, and hers is gorgeous as well. She showed hers also in her most recent video. And mine I'm doing on antique white Jobelin, a 32 count, and I'm using black silk by Silks for You. It's PR070, which is a gorgeous deep black, and Petite Treasure Braid PB01. So I really want to get back to this. This is the chart is easy to read, and it's well done. The only thing that's taking me a little bit is deciding where I want those gold accents to go. But I saw this and I was thinking, I really want to go for like a Great Gatsby, that kind of vibe with it. So, yeah, what I did so far worked up really easy. That was like a day and a half, like 2 stitching sessions. And I know Laura said that Laura and Beth both worked on this border going down the side here on this side, this side right here, and they said it's a really fun stitch, nice and rhythmic and easy to get into. So hope to get that some more love before the next video, and I think that's pretty much it. And I'm starting to get pretty warm here. I think we're still in the upper 80s right here right now. It's a little less humid today than it was yesterday. Excuse me. But still not fun. We're supposed to, I think cold front is supposed to finally come through tonight and get us back down to temperatures that are more normal for us for June, for the rest of this week. So that's about it. Like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know you stopped by. Let me know what you're working on. You know, part of what I love so much about Flosstube is that everybody works, you know, there's so much different stuff out there, and you can't stitch it all, no matter how much you want to. You can't, right? And kind of lets me live vicariously through people that are stitching things that I would love to stitch and just don't have time. So yeah, let me know what you're stitching. If you have a floss tube and I don't watch you already, you haven't seen me comment on your videos, leave me the link. I'd love to stop and check you out. And I guess that's about it. I'm starting to ramble a little bit. I'm getting a little bit warm. So I'm going to say stitch what you love, like everybody does. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Love you.